podcast every fucking day.
We even had Tony on our show before we had Steve.
Yeah. You shouldn't be proud of that kid.
I was gonna say, and he's illiterate.
That was all on you guys. You were like, "Come on, put Tony on there." And I was like, "This is a practical joke, isn't it?"
Sadly, we thought it would improve the show, but
what's that?
He
What's
actually
that
just fit
place?
right in.
What's that place called where they keep the aliens? Area 57 or something? What is that? That's
Area 51.
51. That's where he was coming alive from.
The mutants.
That mutant. Oh, hey, we're live. Hey, Tony.
Das Mutants. And just like that, we are live. It is the open bar. Welcome in, friends. As the great Matt Williamson would say, belly up to the bar, kick it with your boys here. A slightly loaded house currently, and actually checking in is my co-host from the rodeo in Montana. Gabe, what's cracking?
Man, I got my spurs. I'm roped up. I'm just character right now. This is, what happens is y'all don't really get to see the true me, and I am a cowboy at heart. So
You did just say y'all. So
I'm in my element, man.
Yeah, cowboy is oozing off of you, man bun.
I actually keep a spur in the man bun too.
As the kids say nowadays, you're out here living your best life.
Yes, sir.
That's what's up.
You drop in.
Talk about best life. I'm eating pepper jack cheese, eating beer, talking to 5 other men on a podcast on Google. Talk
about dream.
Woo!
I got a long way to go.
There's nobody on the casting couch. We're disappointed.
Yeah,
I like how single Sal thinks he has something better to do than this.
I'm moving to Chisholm. Hey, man, I was out at the bar for the last 3 hours. I Ubered home to hang out with you married guys.
Now that you're single, how much cheese are you eating?
That is
This
not
was
a
a
metaphor.
full-
He's actually eating cheese.
Yeah,
This was a full block. Well, this is live on YouTube. They can see it. That was once a full block when we started.
You could have at least paired it with a nice wine, Sal, instead of a Stella Artois. What do you think?
I don't drink wine. That's for you and your wife.
Just the champagne of beers.
I said to call her back. I don't know if you seem busy.
I'll be honest with you. I was out having a couple of beers with some friends. And I came home and I'm like, I got nothing in the refrigerator. I'm a beer guy. That's it. Just beer. So I rented an apartment from a friend of mine. I went into his backyard, into his outside refrigerator, and grabbed 2 beers out of his refrigerator. And that's what I'm drinking.
And then you opened up a full block of cheese, grabbed a steak knife and a fork, and you're just having that for dinner.
In my defense, it's a butter knife.
I'm glad you're not just taking it off the block. You're not just gnawing it on camera. So I appreciate your use of utensils there.
I'm very sophisticated, Steve.
I can't imagine you eat string cheese, Sal. I don't want to see that.
Oh, it gets pretty interesting. I'm saving that for the podathon. The string cheese hour is
With no hands.
Can I
noon
quit
to
that?
1.
Can I quit already?
Many have asked if you would.
Kevin, for that, I think you need to relocate for at least one of the hours to your bathroom, just for old time's sake.
Yeah, I'll
Yes.
make sure I get a little bathroom.
Well,
at some point I have to poop, right?
Well, I'll break the news here. The most recent podcast to sign on for the 2:30 to 3 o'clock p.m. hour on July 9th is the Dynasty Wall Street podcast. Sans John Bosch will be out of the country. So Riley and Kevin will be joining us, even though Kevin will be there for the 23 and a half other hours at 2:30. And I think that he should be in the bathroom for that 30 minutes.
Wow. All right. Yeah, I can do that. I'm sure I can make that happen.
For those that may not know, for all the voices that you're hearing so far, that in case you're not watching the live YouTube show, we've got the Falafel House crew, all 3. We were able to drag Stephen Marcus out of his out of whatever cage he stays in 23 and a half hours of the day. What's up, fellas?
What's going on?
Steve lives in an old man chair. It's like a rocking chair that he never leaves. You know when your grandpa used to give you like butterscotch candies from the chair when you'd go over, but he never got up? That's Steve.
Yeah, it is molded.
I
It's
like
like a
butterscotch.
Birkenstock. It's molded to my body. I just sit for days on end.
The old Cracker Barrel chairs.
His kid sits like 4 feet in front of him and throws things at him, and it still doesn't move.
Well, let me tell you guys, if anybody who's ever listened to the Flop House podcast and, you hear us guys, we go at each other and stuff like that. That's all real. I can't stand either one of these two guys. It's just that we've got good chemistry. Now, in all seriousness, we like to have fun, but when we get around other people, we actually insult each other even more. So this should be a lot of fun tonight.
Wow. And lastly, but not least, one half.
The better half.
the better half, self-proclaimed better half of the Gut Feels podcast, the FFRX on Twitter. Derek, what's cracking?
No, not much, guys. I'm just happy to be here, and I'm just loving Jason being pissed off on Twitter right now about not being on here.
By the way, you can find Gut Feels on the Falafel House podcast feed.
Yeah, so we're basically like. We're basically the whole falafel crew minus Jason. That's all it is.
So some would call the Gut Feelings podcast the cornerstone to the falafel brand. Sal, what do you have to say about that?
That some would be Derek. Or maybe his mom. Or maybe some family members. I don't know.
It is absolutely the best once in every 6-week podcast on that feed.
Mom actually sent an email asking to remove it, so I don't know. I don't think it's her.
She's like, oh, listen, ever since my son came on that show, it's that, he doesn't get anything accomplished. He's got to go to work. Is that
Canadian or Irish? What are you going for there?
Yeah,
that's a really terrible Canadian, French Canadian accent. No, I'm sure
you're all a bunch of hosers.
Take off, eh?
So, and before we jump into more nonsense, I think you guys had a good thing going with your podathon. For those that may not know, whoever would like to be the spokesperson, I'm guessing Sal. The podathon, what is it? When is it? How can we catch it?
Yeah, so we talked in the past about doing a live show on the day of the Scott Fish draft, Scott Fish Bowl draft kickoff, and it just came together. If you ever listen to our show at the end, Kevin will always close it out with, charity and donate money to a charity, take one league fee from wherever you play. And it just came together as a great idea. I'm a little bit older than probably everybody here. I'll be 44 this August. And I grew up, there was telethons on TV all the time. And, they were great. Back then, we didn't have 3,500 channels. So, and these telethons were going for 24 hours. And they have guests, and they would have people. And I thought it would be a great idea. Get together live on YouTube. 24 hours, all three of us will be awake. We have guests loaded up for every single hour. We have 2 QBs, Sal Stefanali. We got the Podfather Fantasy Mansion. We have Matt Kelly himself coming on between 9 and 9:30. Shane, DFF Shane. Like I mentioned before, we might have some surprise guests. Scott will be joining us in the first hour. Basically, wall-to-wall fantasy talk, 24 hours, and we have prizes donated from a lot of great guests, the fantasy footballers, the football guys, the FF Ghost, to give away to people who tune in that day and donate. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be pretty shot and probably dead around hour 19 through 24. So definitely get up on Tuesday morning and check us out. That's July 9th, 11 a.m. to July 10th, 11 a.m. Should be a lot of fun.
If you think Steve is going to make it to hour 19 before being shot, you're out of your mind.
Please. I'm making it 24 hours with shots.
He's going to be hammered by hour 8.
Steve does intend on drinking throughout the show, which is I'm proud of him. But also
no, not continuously throughout the show, mind you. All right, just not continuously. And when I was telling my wife about this, that was her first question: "Are you going to be drinking that whole time?" No, not this time. Not this time. I will be having a few drinks, but this one's about endurance. You got to make it through.
Well, yeah, lots of great
putting
guests.
my odds on Kevin passing out first. I let it be known on Twitter, and that's what's going to happen, man.
No way, man. I'm telling you, I will be fine. I haven't gotten a good night's sleep in 2.5 years. That's how old my daughter is. I am primed for this. I'm ready to go.
I've been training for this.
If Kevin does pass out, I hope it's the period where he's in the bathroom. That'd be great.
Coincidentally, Kevin hasn't had sex in 2.5 years either. But if he passes out, in the bathroom, that would mean it was legitimately like 3.5 hours into the show. That would be pathetic.
That would be awesome.
I bet you.
I don't think that'll happen. I think I'll be fine. We have so many great guests coming. I don't think I'll want to miss a single second of it. So
There we go. That's gonna be great stuff. And on the same day as the actual draft, right? Scott Fisher Bowl draft.
Yeah, we kick off at 11 a.m. in the East, and the drafts are at noon in the East. So Scott will be on with us right up until the draft kicks off, which is kind of a great way to get it underway. And we'll be. I'm going to figure out a way to have people call in. I might actually give out my cell phone number, which is probably really ballsy, and hook it up to a Bluetooth speaker.
Yeah.
And let's just get people calling in and talking about the draft, their picks. Who screwed up, what idiot took Aaron Rodgers #1 overall. All that good stuff.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I'm excited for that. And if you still have open slots, and maybe if I'm allowed to come on without my better half, then perhaps the open bar will be represented as well. But Gabe, you are out in the middle of nowhere, Montana. Can you tell us what's really going on with you right now?
This will be my my closing argument, because I really got to get into that rodeo and start preparing. It's real out here. The dust is really kicking up. No, I'm from the 406, man. Born and raised. I'm out here visiting, I guess. There's not a whole lot to it. Trying to I've been bringing back some phrases from Texas that I'm trying to get Montana to catch on. One of them is how you. So it's like how and then like an apostrophe YOU. You just say how you.
what does that mean?
I'm not really sure.
Texas sounds cool.
It just sounds cool, yeah.
Is there legitimately anybody, when you said 406, or had any idea what the hell you were?
No idea what that area code is.
And he said the 406, like everyone knows, duh, the 406.
Man, the state's so small in population, we only got one area code. So, of course, it's much like you say, Sal's like, I'm from the 213 or 212 or whatever New York.
Yeah, everybody knows 212.
Area codes in Canada, Derek.
Oh, yeah, we got area codes up here. I'm from the 204,
Hey.
But you got to dial like 64358 before you dial 204.
The country code, yeah.
Some kind of country code or something like that.
It's only because Trump threw a tariff on the area codes as well.
Too soon? No?
Too soon.
Gabe, did you come back? How did they let you back
Yeah, weren't you thrown out of Montana?
in?
I was, and in fact, I had to sneak across the border this time. I had no idea they were out for me like this, but
Forcefully removed, I believe, not thrown out.
Do you think the man bun will hide your identity enough?
See, I think that's what it is. So, because all my photos out there have my hair down, so if I put my hair up, I'm a completely different person, on and off camera.
They should know you're a creep, no matter whether it's up, down, on camera, off camera.
Gabe, thank you for checking in, Gabe. You enjoy the rodeo, and please just don't leave and come back with the old sticker. Cowboys butts drive me nuts. I don't want to have to explain that to my wife.
He's totally gonna have a branded ass when he gets back.
Take care, brother.
Hey, you guys have a good night, and how you?
I can't support that. There's nothing.
You're just a New England elitist. That's all.
That's right. We use actual vocabulary here.
It's funny because I really do like Gabe. Gabe and Clint, I break their chops so much. But those are two good dudes, and I know Gabe is the guy who basically started this whole thing, and then JMic came over here and did it better than him. But Gabe, we miss you. This is your show. We miss having you here, man.
That is a
He's not
fact.
there, right? Sal, I know you struggle with technology, but you know he's no longer here, right?
Yeah, he's gonna listen, bro. All right. I know this will be available tomorrow, for God's sake. If JMic can figure out how to post it.
You know it'll be available. You just don't know how to get it.
That's going to be the trick. I have the YouTube link on lock. It's the posting as a podcast. We'll see how that adventure goes. Sheesh. Anyhow, just to actually try to guide us somewhere, which might be a mistake, but we'll have fun with it anyway. Obviously, we've got breaking news today, guys. Aaron Jones, 2-game suspension for being on that sauce. That reported sticky icky. No, I don't know what it was, but we're looking at 2-game suspension. All of a sudden, the Green Bay backfield looks less murky. What are we doing? What are we doing with Aaron Jones?
I'll tell you one thing. First thing you should do is not ever mention to anyone on Twitter that you bulked up over the offseason, because that'll just get you tested.
Well, I think this was from an arrest that he had last offseason or earlier in the offseason, wasn't it? I believe this is stemming from that. So I don't think it was a failed drug test, although I have seen a lot of those reports that it was a substance abuse violation. But yeah, I wouldn't go around boasting about how buff I've gotten over the summer, which is not a problem for me most years, but you know, it can be.
I don't read into the articles. I see these guys get suspended. I'm so sick and tired of guys not being able to just be clean. I mean, just making. Well, he might not be making millions yet, but he's got the opportunity to make millions if you stay clean, stay healthy. It's just so frustrating to continue to see these stories come out about anything. The Jameis Winston thing happened 2 years ago. It still pissed me off when I heard that he got suspended because, you're young, you're talented, you got the world by the balls. Just be clean, man. Have fun. There's a limited time in your life when you have this opportunity. Why can't you just be clean?
Yeah, I just checked Roto World. It was actually, I thought I saw PED when it came across the screen for me too, but it says marijuana charge is what it was. He pleaded guilty a couple of years ago or to a March incident. But yeah, I agree, Sal. Like, why can't these guys just stay off the sauce while they're playing for millions? Like, it just doesn't really make sense. But
well, Steve is a huge Jamal Williams guy going back to last season. He was all over Jamal Williams. He's got him anywhere I couldn't grab him before him, and I only grabbed him because he brought him up. I'll give Steve credit for bringing him to my attention. So this was like a good day in the Marcus home. I'm sure that he was dancing around, probably in his boxer shorts.
Yeah, I mean, you never like to see players get suspended. You don't like to see players get hurt, but when it does benefit somebody that you've touted for a little while, yeah, you can't be happier that the added opportunity that he is going to get this year. People give him a lot of crap because his statistics, he wasn't as efficient as Aaron Jones. And I'll agree, he did not look as good as Aaron Jones on the field. Aaron Jones is definitely the shiftier back. He's more explosive. Jamal Williams is just a bruiser, a guy that gets his done, which is what I liked about him coming out of BYU. And, down the stretch last year, during the last 8 weeks of the season, I saw Evan Silva posted a tweet that Jamal Williams was PPR running back 8 through the last 8 years. Or at the last 8 weeks of the season. So when given the opportunity, he gets the volume and he works with that and he does a lot with it. So even with Aaron Jones being gone these 2 games, Ty Montgomery is going to be a guy that's probably going to get some work down there. Even when Aaron Jones comes back, we've seen how frail these other 2 guys have been. I still think Jamal Williams is going to be getting goal line work at the very least. And I don't see why he can't be a Jordan Howard type running back this year. Whoa. With Ty Montgomery being or Aaron Jones or Ty Montgomery between the two being a Tariq Cohen type spellback. I don't see why they couldn't work that out. And we'll just have to see what happens.
Have you ever heard of Aaron Rodgers?
Yes. Vaguely. New guy, right?
He's going to have something to say about all that running the ball to goal line stuff.
Hey, if he gets the job done, they'll keep giving it to him. Now, I know last year he did have some issues on the goal line, not being able to stuff it in, but he'll get it.
Coincidentally, Steve has had the same problem in the bedroom.
Boss.
Oh my gosh! All I know is what's gonna happen when Jamal Williams and Tymo, and I love Tymo. No. Let me ask a better question. You get your choice for this season. Any 3 of those guys. Who's the one guy you go after?
To me, it's Tymo. Because you can get, look, I'm looking at Dynasty League Football's current ADP. Now, obviously, it's before the suspension news, but it shouldn't change too much, particularly in Dynasty, right? We're still going to take Aaron Jones. Maybe he drops a few spots here for 2 games, but I think most people are going to look at 2 games and say they're not really that worried about it long term. But you can get Tymo 15 spots later than Aaron Jones. To me, that's a huge value for a guy that's going to get work. Worst thing for me is that maybe they use him more as just a receiver, regular receiver out of the slot, and sort of transition him back into the receiver role where he still gets a couple of carries, but gets some catches some passes. I think that the dual threat potential with him will hold his value to a mid-tier guy that you can fill your roster with. He's going to be a fill-in starter. Some weeks he's going to go off, some weeks he won't, but he might get a few touchdown receptions. So for me, that's where your value is. I kind of say stay away from the other 2 guys, which are going higher than him. Take a different guy in that, and then in the next round, take Tymo.
I mean, I'd really like to see where it goes in the next couple of weeks because, most of us who do redraft our home leagues or our bigger leagues, we're not going to draft for another, month.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see how it affects his ADP. And if Aaron Jones is going to drop, it's 2 games. Where Derek asked this question before we came on is why is it 2 games as opposed to 4 for some of the other guys? I can't figure out what the NFL does. Jameis Winston got 3 games. Ezekiel Elliott was witch hunted for 6 games last year. You can't figure out, Jameis Winston basically came out and said, "Oh, I did it. I'm sorry." Ezekiel Elliott was kicking and screaming, and he got 6 games. So I don't know how they determine these suspensions, but it is only 2 games. So it's going to be very interesting for me to see how he drops over the next month. I think he's going to be a value because it's recency bias, and especially if you play in these home leagues, the home league player is a typical guy who's like, "Oh, he's suspended. He's off my list." So it's really going to matter the league you're in and where he drops. In Dynasty, Dynasty players are a little bit smarter, a little bit more invested. I don't think it'll drop too much.
Yeah, I think Sal, I answered my own question by finding that it was marijuana because it's always the PED suspensions that are 4 games. If it's marijuana charge that he pleaded guilty to, maybe that's why they're saying, okay, you're just admitting this. Maybe they weren't even testing positive. They just said, okay, we're going to give you 2 games. But in redraft, I think you're right. I think Jones will probably drop in the next month or 2 in ADP before the season when everybody's getting their drafts going. So ultimately, if I was forced to pick one of these guys, I would probably see where Jones goes and probably target him if he falls a little bit. But otherwise, I'm avoiding this backfield because I said this earlier today when we were recording Gut Feels, but it's if they get a lead back, it's going to be a productive back, one that you're going to want to own. But I mean, the price that you have to pay right now on 3 potential guys that could either be big hits or they could be big busts, I'm just not going to pay that price.
And Sal, to your point, when we look at Fantasy Football Calculator, right now in the last month, they've got Aaron Jones going at about 706. So was that running back 36? Yeah, running back 36 there. And then the other 2 guys are running back 43 and running back 44 at the back end of the 9th round. So in the next month, I think we'll see a little bit of a switcheroo, I imagine. But yeah, I think and shout out to Zach in the chat from the Dynasty Dummies. He threw out a great point. Those cheap, in your PPR leagues, those receptions that Tymo's probably set to get whenever that 3rd down work comes or whenever that may be, those are going to be easy points for you to rack up on a week-to-week basis, something to rely on moving forward. I think even when Aaron Jones comes back, which is good too. But those prices for those guys are so and I think we've missed the window, the buy window for any of those guys at this point. Is that fair? Or are you trying to go out and actively get Aaron Jones in your dynasty leagues?
Dynasty, I'm not. Me personally, I still think Tymo will continue to drop a little bit, and again, his value will increase. Maybe it goes up a little bit with this news, but I think before you get to the season, people are just down on him in general. You'll see Jamal Williams' values start to increase in Dynasty, and I think Tymo is still going to be the value.
Now, Kevin, what's your opinion long term? Which one of these 3 backs, maybe not this season, but long term becomes the guy? Do you think this continues to be a shared running backfield rather, or do you think they want to have one guy who's Aaron Rodgers is very particular about who's protecting for him, and he's been very upset with the way Ty Montgomery is blocked in the past. He's not a traditional running back. So do you think one guy is going to rear his head more than the other?
Probably not, because neither of these guys can seem to stay on the field. So I think that there's a solid chance he'll continue to see a rotation. I think there's a reason that they took two guys in the same draft like that. Actually, there were three, right, in that draft that they took.
Yeah, Mays was the other guy.
Yep.
But so clearly they want to rotate through running backs. I don't, you're right. Aaron Rodgers is a pretty particular guy, and he's been vocal about Ty Montgomery in the past. But I think that Montgomery is also you got to remember that he's still somewhat new to the running back position. So it's not a position he's been playing his whole life. So there's a solid chance that he will continue to improve in the pass blocking. And maybe he shows up to camp and he's worked on it all season, and Aaron Rodgers is happy with him. So I don't know. I don't know that there'll ever be one particular guy, because I think they'll want to mix Ty Montgomery in, and that's why I keep harping on it. I think his value's almost insulated.
I think for best ball, Ty Montgomery is definitely the guy you want to go. He's going to be the cheapest of all three of them by far, and you're only going to benefit from the good games, and it's not going to cost you because you of his value. When he has those duds, it's not going to matter. But when he does have those good games where he gets into the end zone, or someone else gets hurt and he's got to fill in a little bit more than normal, he's going to come in pretty good. So Ty Montgomery is definitely a best ball guy that I'm going after.
Man, so apparently today was, as you look through what's going on in the NFL, today was suspension day. Everybody and their mom either got a suspension or got a suspension upheld. We'll go up to your neck of the woods.
Let's talk
Kevin.
about that one. Yeah.
Up to your neck of the woods, Kevin. Julian Edelman has his 4-game suspension upheld for vibranium in his urine. Can we talk about that for a minute? Are we done with Julian?
Do you want me to talk about his urine or about the player? I'm curious.
What's vibranium? Are we allowed to talk about that?
I don't know what it is. It's my guess is it's a.
You guys haven't seen any of the Marvel movies?
Oh, I know what you're talking about,
Holy
JMic.
crap!
That's what Captain America's shield's made of. Come on, it's July 4th tomorrow.
Get it together.
How do I know this stuff? I know.
Get out of your basement sometime. Jeez.
No, man, I can't. I'm gonna be here for 24 hours next week. I gotta get acclimated here.
Hashtag brand.
No, listen. I think when it comes to Edelman, it's actually not a terrible thing from a Patriots standpoint, because he's coming off the knee injury, gives him an extra 4 games to heal up. So I think that's fine. I don't think you have to worry about him and Brady being on the same page or anything like that. When he gets to the lineup, he's going to be that guy that gives you, a solid 8-catch, 80-yard performance, and maybe once every 3 weeks he throws in a touchdown too. So that's coming when he's on the field. But you're going to miss the first 4 games for him. And on top of that, when you're talking about dynasty, he's a guy that I can't expect to be around for too much longer. So it wouldn't surprise me in the least if this was his last season with the Patriots. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if this is his last season in the league, to be honest with you. He might bounce around a little bit, but we remember what happened with Edelman or Welker when he left the Patriots. He had that one good season with Denver, and then that was it, right? I think a similar, trajectory for Edelman is probably, probably accurate. So.
But even for this season, do we even care about him this season? Because last year, according to and giant shout out to Addison Hayes with ffstatistics.com, we've pretty much over the last 5 years. He didn't play last year, but over the last 5 years, he's been consistently top 20 wide receiver. Is there any chance he offers any kind of value at this point? Or is there somebody else in the Patriots wide receiving core that we should actually pay attention to? Because I'm not sure it's there.
Kevin's the resident Patriot fan, obviously, with Falafel. So, there's been a lot of talk about Jordan Matthews, Kevin. And Malcolm Mitchell seems to be a guy that's very forgotten about. What are you hearing there about the other wide receivers? For me personally, Edelman would have to drop, but I think he's a value late if he does drop, because, like Kevin pointed out, he'll come back and he does what he does when he's on the field. But do you think there's another guy, Kevin, that we're not thinking about that you could scoop up?
No, I mean, I think that if you have Edelman on a dynasty team, you're not dropping him. You're going to hold on to him for the season, unless you're absolutely strapped from a roster perspective, because like we just talked about, he's going to produce when he's actually on the field. I think that Jordan Matthews is a guy that's been getting obviously been talked about a lot in this preseason, through the OTAs and whatnot. He's a guy that's talented, shown that he can do it, and he fits what the Patriots like to do on offense. So he could be a good substitute for Edelman. I think a lot of people you have to worry about it when people start saying that if he produces, he's going to take over and he'll have that job for the rest of the season. He's not. When Edelman comes back, he will be on the field. So you have to take that with a grain of salt. Now, Jordan Matthews is young, so from a dynasty perspective, I'd love to see what he does in those 4 games and be able to see if his value goes up and maybe flip him for something else or stash him for next year when he's, maybe gets a little more work. He's the guy that I'm targeting if, out of any of these receivers. I know a lot of people like the rookie Braxton Berrios, whatever. If you get him late in dynasty rookie drafts, fine. But other than that, I wouldn't worry about it too much. And I mean, I think Hogan is going to do what he does. He'll catch some long passes. He'll be that outside receiver, and he'll have a few good games, but that'll be it.
And he'll miss 5 weeks.
And he'll miss a couple of games. So, I mean, it really comes down to this offense doesn't change, right? So for 4 weeks, you'll see someone step into Edelman's role, and maybe James White gets a few extra catches. Maybe Gronk is a little bit, used a little bit more in the first 4 weeks this year than he was last year because they were easing him back in. And maybe, Jordan Matthews steps up. But come week 5, Edelman's going to be back, and the offense is going to be the exact same as it was before.
Is there a chance that there's a shortish white guy out there that we're not picking up on that might?
They'll find
Berrios.
Let me introduce you to my friend, Miami's own Braxton Berrios.
Oh, is he a short white guy? I didn't even know who he was.
I mean, he is fitting that bill very well, sir.
You got to draft him on that base alone.
I think
they also took
a quarter into account though is the Belichick factor. Like, you guys keep saying when Edelman comes back. What if Edelman doesn't come back because Belichick, who doesn't take shit from nobody, decides to say, "Nah, I don't have time for your nonsense of taking PEDs or whatever the hell you took," and say, "Sorry, see you later." Like, he's
never done it before.
Less. What?
Nope. Not a guy that's been a solid producer on his team and a workhorse for him. That's not how it works. He doesn't cut you because of a PED suspension. Now, if he thinks you're done and you don't have it anymore, he might trade you. But I don't see him not playing him when he comes back. You'll know before the end of the suspension if he's going to be on the roster.
Well, what if he gets cut preseason?
Won't happen. I would be shocked. I would be beyond shocked.
Hey, JMic, I know it's your show and all, but do you mind if I ask a question?
Please, yes. This is what the open bar is for. Everyone just pipe in. 5
guys here on the show right here tonight. You can take one New England Patriots running back for the 2018 fantasy football season.
Yes.
Who is the one running back you're taking for 2018 only? Redraft, 2018 only. Who are you taking?
I like this.
Let's start with the host. JMic, you go first. Do you like it so much?
No, this is a great question. If I'm taking one guy, I'm taking Sony, and it scares me to say that. I think Jeremy Hill can go kick rocks.
Damn you.
Look, I've suffered through Jeremy Hill here in the Natty. I'm done with that.
I can't get him off my couch.
Oh, is he like the star of the casting couch? Is that how that goes? I'm going with Sony. I think that obviously they took him in the first round, which I can't get past that. That's very difficult for me to get past with the Patriots. Obviously he's talented. I'm really scared that if he fumbles or if he struggles at all carrying the ball, that he's going to be screwed. But I'm going to go with Sony.
All right, I'm going to go to Steve next.
It's a toss-up between Rex Burkhead and James White for me, but I'm going to go with James White. I am going to go with the guy that's been there the last few years. Always, I think him and Tom Brady, best buds. And he seems to be the healthiest of everybody. Everyone else always gets hurt, and he seems to always be the last one standing.
As Kevin shakes his head in disgust.
You're gonna pick the guy that'll get 40 carries, maybe. Good choice there, Steve.
But another 50 catches and like 6 touchdowns.
All right, Kevin. So since you don't like Steve's choice, who would you go with?
Yeah, who do you got, Mr. New England?
There's no question. It's Sony Michel. He's a first round pick. They spent the draft capital on him. They're going to use him. JMic's absolutely right. If he fumbles, that's the one thing that's scary. But assuming he can get get a handle on the ball and he can work through the things that troubled him in college, he will be the guy that they will use more often than not. I peg him for around 200 carries in this offense. He'll probably get targets in the passing game as well. I could see him getting, I don't know, maybe 50 targets or so and catching 30 passes. So I think that's pretty heavy volume for a guy that's got that kind of talent, and it'll be more volume than anyone else on the field. Rex Burkhead's the only guy that I think will eat into it a little bit, and I think he's going to be used as more of a goal line guy. So you might see the touchdowns taken away from Sony by Rex Burkhead, but I'm not worried about it.
What's the Canadian contingency say?
Yeah, well, if this was best ball and it was my last pick of the draft, I'd go with what Steve said and James White. But for any other format, I agree with Kevin and JMic that Sony Michel is the one to go. Like, if JJ Zacharyson has taught me anything from all the time I listen to him, it's got to be that the draft capital is immediate path to volume and opportunity. And I know that everybody tries to avoid the Patriots backfield for all of the previous aforementioned reasons, but Sony Michel has got to be the one, because I think he's gonna break the mold, and he's gonna get lots of volume.
Well, it would definitely be a change of events over there if he became the guy. I'm a Jeremy Hill guy, for years. I'm dying on that hill, as you say. And when they signed him, I was like, oh my God, new life. I got him in all these dynasty leagues, hanging on new life. And then they re-signed this guy, and then they draft Sony Michel, and I'm just like, he's not going to get nothing. So I'm going to hold out hope that's going to be Jeremy Hill, but I'm going to side with Steve. I think it's going to be Rex Burkhead, actually. Oh, you said James White?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, you said him or Rex Burkhead. I'm going to go with Rex Burkhead because he makes the least amount of sense.
Spoken like a true New Yorker.
Forget about it.
And in the chat, shout out to everyone in the chat with us on YouTube, obviously. If you guys are checking this out in podcast form, we also do the live YouTube show on Tuesday nights, 9:30. As my co-host typically says, never late, always on time, 9:30 Eastern sharp. That's a joke. All right. So
I was going to say, we were definitely not wrong.
So shout out to everybody that's in the chat with us. Someone on here was Mr. Showtime. They were shouting you out a ton earlier. You know who that is?
Yeah, it's our boy Kareem.
Was he fanboying Sal? Is that what he was doing?
He was definitely giving Sal the love. He said earlier when you were talking about your cell phone, he said, "Give me your cell number. It's 3 years past due."
Let me tell you.
That sounds like some grudges.
He's waiting to go next level. He's taking it to the next. He's got to go to the next step. He's like, "Yo, man, give me your digits."
I want to give some love. I want to give some love to Kareem, because Kareem he's an OG falafel guy. We met him on the Fantasy Life app, which is where falafel comes from. Fantasy Life app, Fantasy Football League, which is how it was created. And I met Kareem one of my first days on that app, and then he eventually migrated over to the chat. And this is just a good dude, a good human being, a hard worker, a good father, a good husband, and a guy I've really become a close friend with. I speak to him on a regular outside of the chat, and he's going to be a guy I'll be friends with for life. Stephen and Kevin, I can't vouch for that, but this guy Kareem, I'll be a friend with him for life.
Fun fact about Kareem, he is dying to be on Sal's casting couch. Like, literally, that's like his life dream.
After that, he asked for your. He also asked for your address after he asked for your phone number. So if you can just go ahead and forward him that information.
I was trying to get the chat open on my phone so I could look at it, but I can't.
Yeah, Kareem hit me. What did Kareem say? I started crying, laughing. He said something to the effect of, "Hey, who's the black dude? Respect." I was
like, well, if you didn't know, cool. Kareem is also a black gentleman. He's a great guy.
I mean, it's not many of us on the fantasy scene. So, yes, I feel you. Kareem. What up? You're welcome here anytime, sir. Anytime.
You should get him on next week. You should get him on next week.
There we go. You'll have to get me connected to Kareem. That's good stuff. I
think he's got his phone number. If you,
I mean, he's all about connecting apparently. So also in the chat, obviously both of the Dynasty Dummies were here. I think Kyle dipped out. Doug Eddy's in the building. Zach from the Dummies. Casey came through. We had a bunch of and Shane, Showtime Shane Manila, Dynasty Trades HQ. Someone said, Zach did. He said, what if Belichick saw how New Orleans handled things last season, and we see just a crap ton of Rex and Sony all season long. And
it worked out pretty good for them.
Just lay waste to the league. Like, is it feasible that both those guys could be top 10 backs, like RB1s?
So you think maybe like Tom Brady, Breeze had 23 passing touchdowns last year after having 11 straight 30 to 40 touchdown season. So are we saying Tom Brady's going to go down to 23 touchdown passes and it's going to become the running show?
That's basically what happened to Drew Brees last season, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Do we think that that's the new Drew Brees, though? Honestly, do you think that 23 is what he's going to do this year? Because I don't. I think that was an aberration year. I think he's back up closer to 30, if not over 30 this year. So
glad he had that aberration when I had him in the Scott Fishbowl. Sure.
So this is your fault.
I am sorry.
No, Kyle's still here. Sorry, Kyle. Kyle, one of my employers. Sorry, Kyle. Kyle's still here. So we've been, and I fear I don't really want to bring this up, but I kind of do because all of a sudden we've been talking about all of these tandem backfields. Can I pose the same question, and we'll be brief because we'll move on. I'll pose the same question to you guys as it pertains to the Cleveland Browns backfield for this season alone. The one guy you've got in the backfield, Derek, you're first.
I've got Duke Johnson. I know he just signed that extension. And he's going to get work in the passing game, even though they've got a ton of receivers there now. I just don't know who's going to get the carries this year between Chubb and Hyde. I think both of them are set up to be only 2 down backs, but Duke, I think, is going to have a floor at least for getting volume.
He was an RB1 last year. How absurd.
I know.
It was number 9, wasn't he?
I'm looking here. It says it looks like he was RB11. How absurd is that?
Very disrespected. Very disrespected, underappreciated. Totally.
Steven, go ahead.
Yeah, he'd be my answer as well. It'd be Duke Johnson. It feels like his role is the most secure. That it seems like they're going to plan to start with Hyde for the season, but you never know what can happen with that. Nick Chubb is a guy that they did spend some nice draft capital on. It was early second-round pick for him. So he is somebody that can definitely work into the mix. He's talented enough to take over that role, but Duke Johnson has that passing down work locked in, and I think he's the safest of the 3. So he would be the one I'd be going with as well.
I don't expect Hyde to make it through a full season because I just don't expect Hyde to do that. So while I do think Duke Johnson does have a high floor, I think Nick Chubb will eventually run away with that backfield, and he'll be used in the passing game. Cool pun. Right. Thanks, Steve. That's great. So I don't know. I mean, I think Nick Chubb's probably going to end up with the most fantasy points by the end of the season, but I think it's a backfield either way that you have to avoid.
Yeah, I got to agree with Kevin. Avoiding this is probably the way I'm going to go unless somebody drops to really good value. It's just too much going on there. I don't understand the signing of Hyde if you're going to go out and take a running back in the draft. And I know Chubb fell to them somewhat, so it became really good draft capital at that point. So I don't think I'm going to own a Cleveland Brown, period. It's also confusing for me from the quarterbacks that will not probably finish the season to which wide receiver is going to be the guy. They might be a lot better of an NFL team this year, but I still think it's going to be a bit of a wasteland or guessing who's going to be the guy in Cleveland this year.
Fair enough. I just find it interesting how Duke Johnson was an RB1 last year, and we talked about it a couple weeks back. There's no way everyone in Cleveland can be fantasy relevant, right? And everybody's ranked pretty high up. Josh Gordon, Jarvis Landry, Duke Johnson, Nick Chubb, Carlos Hyde, even everyone can't be viable. It's just not. It's not going to happen. So 1, 2, 3, if not everyone, will definitely underperform from their draft value. So it's gonna be fun to watch.
Hey, JMic, you know who I'm ending up with a lot? Njoku. That's the guy who, if I'm waiting on tight ends, the guy that seems to be there a little bit later, I'm like, you know what? Let me take a chance on him because I think, first of all, that guy is super athletic. Really, really athletic. He's a pass-catching tight end, does amazing things. So for me, I think the one Cleveland Brown I'm going to end up owning because of where I can get him is going to be David Njoku.
I think it's one of Doug Eddy's boyfriends that he brought up last week. Was that you, Doug? Tell me, Doug, in the chat. I'm pretty sure Doug said that. Yes.
I don't know how you can.
He puts in the chat Sal with a bunch of heart emojis.
Oh, love you, Dougie. Doug was the first person to point out my casting couch, by the way.
I like Njoku, and I like the long-term ability of him, but I don't know how you can really be thrilled with any of the pass catchers necessarily in that offense until you see what's going to go on with the quarterback. I don't know that I trust Tyrod Taylor to be able to spread the ball around, and I don't think he's going to lock into just Njoku. I think Landry has a better shot of being that guy that he locks into. When it comes to Mayfield, if he does get the start, if he takes over the job midseason, whatever it is, who knows who he's going to lock into? Maybe he can spread the ball around. I don't know. Njoku's a guy. I like your point. You can get him later, at least in redraft leagues. So I like the value there. But for me, I don't know that I'm. There's other options at tight end that I'm probably taking a chance on than him this year.
I mean, Charles Clay had some of his best years with Tyrod Taylor at quarterback. So, you do have that.
But they didn't have any wide receivers.
Yeah, I mean, they had guys jumping out windows and other guys who couldn't stay healthy. But
I'm one of the guys that believes that Taylor's actually going to.
Oh, Derek's still here. Hey, Derek.
I'm still here. I'm one of the guys that believes Taylor's going to run that offense actually pretty well. But I do think that you're right. Like, there's too many of them that are ranked in the top 100. Like, if you look at DLF's ADP, I think they're the only team that's had 6 players in the top 100 for the last 3 or 4 months, and that's not all of them are going to maintain that. And if there's anybody that does, I think it's going to be Landry and either Duke Johnson or Njoku, the short passes, and then Gordon deep.
Does Gordon make it through a season? Anybody?
I'll say yeah. I think he might, but I don't have him anywhere. I'm not taking that risk.
I'll believe the comeback story.
Yeah, I know. It'd be a nice comeback story. But, I mean, look at guys like Martavis Bryant. It seems like these guys, they just can't seem to kick that habit. It creeps up on them. It doesn't make you a bad human being. It really doesn't. But he seems like one of those guys he's got demons a little bit, and he can't kick it. So I hope he's successful. I hope he comes back. I hope he stays clean. But I'd be too nervous where he's at his draft capital.
It's nice that you're not judging him. I appreciate that, Sal. That's
really what I do. It's good.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'm not drafting Josh Gordon because of where he's going, but I'm pulling for him. I hope that he kills it this entire year because I had him his rookie season and he crushed it. And so I'll be a fan. I'll root for him as a person to get over what he's gone through and to get back on the field and be successful. But in terms of fantasy value, he's going a little too rich for my blood right now.
I mean, what's the ADP? Where's he at right now? I guess is the question, because
I was sitting here trying to find him now, and I'm struggling to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think
4 for 4 has him going as wide receiver 16.
Wide receiver 16 in the 4th round for a redraft league, right? So yeah. What are you getting out of the other guys in that area?
You got Larry Fitzgerald going right before him, Amari Cooper, Juju Smith-Schuster, Demaryius Thomas, Alshon Jeffrey, Golden Tate going after him.
So you're taking all of those guys in that general vicinity, to me, are guys that have wide receiver 1 upside that have produced a wide receiver 2 level probably in the last year, right? So they're risks. They're risks with all of them. So, and his upside for me is very high at that point. So in the 4th round, depending on how my first 3 rounds went, I might take a chance on a guy like that.
Hey, Steven, what wide receiver overall did you say he's going?
Wide receiver 16.
Okay. Fantasy Football Calculator's got him as wide receiver 12, 308.
Oh, that's way too rich for me. The 4th round.
That's standard. Let me see PPR. Sorry. Go ahead.
Fourth round, maybe I'd consider, maybe, but probably not. If he was going in the fifth round, for sure. But I don't know. I'm not gonna have any Josh Gordon anywhere. I don't think based on
306. That is rich.
It's early. It's early. DLF Dynasty Leagues obviously has him wide receiver 21, and going around the 40 range overall, 43, 44. So
late fourth.
Yeah.
Or mid fourth.
Mid fourth, you're talking at that point. So
Josh Gordon or Juju Smith-Schuster?
Oh, it's Juju all day long.
Yeah, I'm not even a Juju guy, and I would take Juju.
Yeah,
same here.
Josh Gordon or Allen Robinson?
Allen Robinson.
Allen Robinson.
Josh Gordon, Stephen Diggs.
Oh
Diggs.
God, not even close.
Diggs, yeah.
Diggs.
All of those guys are going after him right now, and I didn't even get to like Larry Fitzgerald, Tyreek Hill, T.Y. Hilton, all going behind him.
To go back to Robinson though, I think that's about right for. So Robinson's a little overhyped for me because I'm a little nervous about the Chicago offense, and I seem to be the only one. It makes me a little nervous that everyone's expecting them to be the new Rams.
They don't have a quarterback yet.
You just lost the 3 fans that you have.
Steve is so anti-Trubisky. It's not even funny.
Is this like a continuing take that he's had for like the last year and a half?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Somewhere, Tony, who you've had on the show, just kicked his phone across the room.
Golly. And I don't know. I think everybody wants to get a piece of whatever's next. So whatever the next Rams is, whatever the next whatever. They want the love there. If you let me ask this: if you can only have one guy on your team, Jordan Howard or Allen Robinson?
Jordan Howard.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll take the running back
Definitely Howard.
every day.
Okay.
I'm anti-Robinson for the most part.
Oh wow, that's strong.
Do they
why
let
are
you
you anti?
something in Canada? Is that allowed?
No, I just this was like the reason that Jason and I started our podcast. That and his feelings for Martavis Bryant, because he hates Martavis, and I just can't handle having Robinson on my squad. So,
but what is it? What is it about him that has you like that? Like, hey, I started a podcast because I can't stand your dumb ass. What does it for you?
Well, it wasn't exactly that. It was just our takes on said player. That like I can't get past the feeling that he 2015 was a massive outlier. And he will never be that. He will always be kind of, but way below that. Like I think he's a wide receiver 3, at best. And yeah, he's going to get more volume. He kind of slots in as probably is the Bears' number 1 wide receiver. But I don't know. I don't think that. I just don't see it.
Wide receiver 3 at best, man. Mark that JMic right down on the floor.
That's tough.
I'm sorry, that's Steve's job.
Yeah.
Steve, right down on the
I
floor.
don't know. It's not based on literally because you look at like Matt Harmon loves him from his separation standpoint and on reception perception, and everybody loves Robinson, but I don't know. I don't.
I'm gonna take you up. I'm gonna take you up on that bet. That's gonna be the open bar bet for this episode. Let's work this out real fast. You said he's gonna be at best a wide receiver 3.
Yeah.
So will you give me that Allen Robinson is top 25? Can I say 25 or better? I win the bet. 26 or worse, you win the bet.
Sure, let's do it.
Perfect. We'll figure out the terms later.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, they've got to be death, right?
Loser.
I feel like JMic should have to shave his head.
Oh wow!
Oh no.
I've been skimping a haircut for the last couple months now. I don't know about that. I'm going for the rugged. I don't even know what. Anyway, can we talk real fast about? I want to get to at least a couple more things here with you guys. One being, who is your number 1 wide receiver going into this season?
I don't
Antonio
think
Brown.
Yeah, I don't think you can go anywhere but Antonio Brown. I mean, I've always been the guy who loves OBJ and his talent, and he drives me nuts with the stuff that he does. But until Antonio Brown proves me different, I don't think you can go any other direction.
Yeah, I'm 100% on board with that. It's AB all the way.
Would DeAndre Hopkins be the alternative choice for
or
people?
even OBJ? I think OBJ is a lot of people's favorites to bounce back.
Yeah, for me, it's between OBJ and Antonio Brown. I give the nod to Antonio Brown for sure, but it's definitely between the two. And I wouldn't fault anyone if they are taking OBJ. I think the guy's a supreme talent. He certainly could have a better season. We've seen Antonio Brown break down a little bit as far as injuries, so that's a possibility there too. So you could see that happen. And I mean, I'm not going to fault you if you want to take OBJ, unless you're Sal. I fault Sal for everything.
That's why I'm divorced.
Faulty by nature.
Very good. Sorry about that. My family just got home from fireworks, so I was trying to give hugs and whatnot, not have them be in the background.
What's up, Michaels?
Michael's my middle name. Little known fact, but that's okay.
What's up? I feel stupid.
Just real quick, Antonio Brown's finishes from 2013 through last season. 2013, number 3 wide receiver. 2014, number 1. 2015, number 1. 2016, number 1. 2017, number 2.
That's consistent.
Is there a fantasy Hall of Fame?
Yeah, there is.
There actually is.
At the
really?
at the NFFC, that's going to be happening at the end of July, or actually it's actually at the end of next week, second week of July. They do a fantasy Hall of Fame, and they do one online somewhere. But let's pretend that it doesn't exist and make our own.
So just after JMic, I want to know, Kevin, do you want to retract your statement that you won't fault anybody for taking OBJ over AB for just this season?
Why would I retract that statement?
Uh-oh.
Because
Derek's got evidence. He's got evidence.
Evidence now that
was a loaded question.
Is the greatest. Come on, like you have to fault him. OBJ is clearly the dynasty wide receiver one based on age and talent, but for 2018 only redraft, you can't take anybody other than Brown ahead of.
I disagree completely. I think that it's entirely possible for Odell Beckham Jr. to have as good or a better season than Antonio Brown this year.
It's definitely possible.
I'm not saying
right?
it's impossible.
Listen, well, that's what I said. I mean, I started it off by saying I take AB, but I'm not going to fault people if they want to go OBJ. What I'm saying is it's within the realm of possibility that he could beat him, and if someone believes that, then fine. I'm not going to.
You guys are ripping Kevin for having an open mind. Rude.
It's not how we think here in the United States, Derek.
Freedom of choice.
That's right.
Grab pussies whenever I want.
OBJ
I will
was
bet
making
you a donut that OBJ has a better season than AB. How about that?
OBJ was making his push though before last season. 2014, he was wide receiver 7. 2015, number 5. 2016, number 4. He was coming for the crown.
He was. It was it last season or the season before? I had him as my wide receiver 1, and I thought he was making that move. You know, I was the OBJ guy, but the antics are too much. I got to see him grow up a little bit before I believe that he can stay out of trouble or stay focused. I mean, he's very affected, and it affects him in games. The talent, like Kevin said, is second to no one in the league. But I need to see a consistent character change. He said the right things in the offseason. He's in there at the mini camps. He's not going to hold out, so it's a good sign. Maybe he's matured at this time that he's been off. Maybe somebody good has been influential in his life, but I definitely want to see it first.
Not to mention, listen, we talked about, we all said hands down Juju over Josh Gordon, right? So I got to imagine we're all guys that like Juju this year. Coming into the season, he had a great season last year. James Washington is a guy that a lot of people were high on coming into the draft. And, you know, while he didn't get, you know, his draft capital wasn't what we thought it was going to be, he's still a talented receiver. They have Le'Veon Bell, who's going to catch a lot of passes. Sal is on record as being a huge Vance McDonald fan.
Don't forget Vance.
So there's a lot of targets that are going around to a lot of different people there. So it's possible that we don't see Antonio Brown catch 120 passes this year like he has every other year. Meanwhile, in except for the Saquon Barkley, who obviously is going to catch 100 passes in his rookie season as a running back, right?
Maybe 90.
You know,
Maybe 90.
people have told me that Evan Ingram is a sell right now because he's overvalued, and we all know Sterling Shepard kind of is what he is. No, despite what Steve says about him, he's going to be a mid-level guy, and Odell Beckham has the opportunity to catch a lot of passes there. I'm just saying it could happen.
It could happen. You heard it here first.
Odell Beckham is the top 5 wide receiver, Ingram top 5 tight end, and Barkley a top 5 running back. But Eli Manning's a bottom
number
QB,
30,
like QB 24. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, people are not
apparently. Yeah, he's going currently on Fantasy Football Calculator going as quarterback 22 this season.
Yeah, on a whole, people are unintelligent, Derek.
Oh, good.
Oh, would you guys rather have the Browns offense or the Giants offense this year?
Giants.
I think there's more clear-cut path to the roles in the Giants offense, so I would agree with the Giants.
Can I have the Giants offense with the Browns offensive line? Can we do like a mold of the two?
No, sir. This is not science class. Get back to your spot.
But we've seen a really poopy Eli. Like, we've seen Eli be awesome, and then we've seen Eli be awful.
So Eli is never going to be the type of guy that's going to get the ball out of his hands that quickly. And when he doesn't have a good offensive line or things aren't right around him, he is going to struggle. That's what we've seen with Eli. But if you have an improved offensive line with a high draft pick in Will Hernandez at guard and a big time money free agent in Nate Solder on tackle, that's an improved offensive line. He should have more time. Add in the fact that they should have some semblance of a running game this year. He's going to have a little bit more time to throw the ball. I think Eli's in for a big bounce back this year. I don't think he's, going to be top 12 maybe, but he could. And either way, I think he's definitely better than 22.
Yeah. Hey, Kevin, I heard you on the Afterburners pod this week, and you kind of downplayed the Giants signing Nate Solder. You're like, good luck with that.
Yeah, I don't like Nate Solder, but he's better than what they had.
I mean, you're going to put a beast out there.
What my point was there, Sal, is really the money they spent on him. I think they overpaid, but they had to, because Nate Solder to me isn't the highest paid left tackle in the league. He shouldn't be anyway, but he's the guy that was on the market, so they had to do what they had to do.
Sure, availability, supply and demand.
That's right.
And to your question, JMic, I'd take the Giants offense too, because what we didn't talk about when we were talking about the Browns was Hugh Jackson, and who wants to be taking players that are coached by Hugh Jackson, because he's going to screw that up.
Or it's just the Browns. Can we wait and see on the Browns? Like, can we just make sure they don't screw this up before we start taking a good team?
Speaking of screwing this up, Andrew Luck.
You watch your mouth, JMic.
I feel like he's one of those guys that people's true feelings comes out with. If you say something disparaging about it, people just get really upset.
Kevin is one of those people.
You answer your question. Answer your question, JMic, but I'll jump in a second. But I want to know what you were going to say.
For this season only, Andrew Luck or Deshaun Watson?
You know what? They're both coming off an injury, right?
Yep.
And Kevin has been very vocal. Kevin was vocal last season about grabbing Luck at a great value in a couple of startup dynasties that we did. I'm on board with Kevin this year when it comes to Luck. I like Luck. I love the value that I'm getting him at. And I'm going to say because of the value and the position, the ADP, it's going to be Luck for me because I don't know. I have a whole total level of confidence in both of them. So I'm going to go with Luck over Watson. I have some standbys, guys. The guys I was at the bar with just snuck into my apartment.
This is awkward.
Did you invite them to the casting couch?
They're waiting.
Hey, I'm going to be done with this podcast around 10:45. Just come sit on the couch.
Hey, yo, Sal, where do you want me to set the camera up at, man?
Yeah, does he know you're on a webcam show right now?
Make sure the lighting is good.
I don't know. It's hard. Based on ADP value, if I'm drafting them, I feel more comfortable with where Andrew Luck is going. Deshaun Watson's being drafted pretty high right now. So
no, Steven. No. Forget ADP. Who do you want on your team, on your fantasy team?
Fear the beard, man.
Oh yeah, I would probably go with Andrew Luck because I know what he can do when he's healthy. So, and we saw what Deshaun Watson could do, but that was his first crack. Rookie, all that kind of stuff. If they both come back healthy, I would feel more comfortable with Andrew Luck.
Okay. Sal.
Yeah, I'm on Andrew Luck.
Kevin.
There's no question for me. It's Andrew Luck.
Well, looks like I might be the lone one here because if this question was who do I think the better quarterback is if they're 100% healthy, it's Andrew Luck. But I'm taking Deshaun Watson here all day because I've got
Please
way
don't
too
throw
many
injuries out there. Come on. You're better than that, Derek. You're better than that.
Let's look at the injuries that they have, though. So Watson is an ACL, which we know is going to heal because they did the surgery and it's going to be fine. And he's going to get back out there and he's going to play. We still don't actually know that if Luck's going to play. He's throwing a ball, sure, that's fine. But he hasn't been out there under pressure, taking hits and throwing on the run, made a quick throw, and it's your shoulder. He hurt literally the main thing as to him playing the game. If he ever gets back to 100% healthy and he's back to what he was, why he was drafted first overall, sure, it's Luck. But for me, Sal, you said he's at a value. To me, I don't think he is because I don't think people are accounting for his floor. They're only accounting for his ceiling. Yeah, he's at a lower cost from what he would be if he were healthy, but we don't know that he's healthy yet. So to me, it's Watson because he's going to get production for sure. I don't know that Luck will.
He's jacked.
I'll argue that with 2 points. First, I would argue that Deshaun Watson hurt the most important part of his game in his legs, and I would also argue that who was the guy taken right after Andrew Luck? Just remind me about that guy. Who was that? What was his name again?
It was Robert Griffin III.
And what was his injury and what happened to him? Just out of curiosity. I'm just throwing it out there.
He was an entirely different player than Watson. They're not the same player.
They're not the same.
Go talk to Elliot Chris about that one.
I'm just telling you right now, I could see a very similar career trajectory. That's certainly a possibility for Watson.
You're saying Deshaun Watson's done right now?
No. My point is the injury risk for Deshaun Watson is maybe slightly better than Andrew Luck at this point.
No, it's way better because as a runner, yes, RG3 he would throw himself into situations where he would get he was unprotected. He would just take hits. He wouldn't slide. He refused to slide. He was stupid.
He didn't know how to slide.
Exactly. He didn't know how to protect himself. Watson is a different player, and he does run. Yes, he's a similar style of play, but he knows how to protect himself. And the most important part of his game is still his throwing shoulder, and we don't know where Luck's at for that.
So after Griffin's first year is after his rookie year where he had a great season and he was on trajectory to be, the next big quarterback. Did you think that he knew how to protect himself and that he knew how to run and he knew he would work it all out?
No,
you expected him to get hurt.
Yes, I did, but
right.
Watson hurt it on a non-contact injury, didn't he?
In practice.
So did Griffin, by the way.
No, he hurt it in the playoff game.
Didn't he twist his knee the wrong way on the sideline without getting hit?
No, he had gotten injured earlier and then tried to come back in the playoff game and re-injured it he tried to avoid getting tackled.
Yeah, he stomped on the ground and twisted his knee the wrong way.
And then they rushed the comeback. It was a huge Adidas campaign for him coming back and being ready for the first. Yeah, being ready for week one. It was like this huge deal. I remember all of that. So
I don't necessarily think Deshaun Watson is Griffin. I don't know that you can say definitively he has a better chance of being on the field than
you just spent the last 5 minutes pointing his parallels about
Get him, JMic. Get him.
The whole point is
backtracking.
No, I'm not backtracking. I don't think you can definitively say that he's a less risky option than Andrew Luck. I just don't.
I think the percentage chance that Watson gets back on the field is significantly higher than it is for Luck, and the chance of re-injury is significantly lower. But
we never see guys with ACLs get injured again. That never happens.
I didn't say it lower.
What year was it that Andrew Luck came out?
Is that 2013? 12?
2015, right?
I'm going to tell you I'm gonna tell you right now,
No.
Zach
15,
is
no.
the smartest guy in the chat right now. He just all of his points are just solid gold.
2014 then.
2012.
Yeah, it's
2012?
a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot longer than that.
Man,
I just remember the first
drink
year
too
my
much.
son asked me, and my son is going to be 17 this year, so that's 6 years ago. So he was what 3? He was 11 at the time, and he said to me, "Who would you rather have?" I said, "The way that Andrew Luck plays, he'll be healthier and he'll be here a lot longer than Robin Griffin. Who would have known they both would have been a mess in their career with the injuries? You know, I really thought Luck would have that longevity."
We're talking about one lost season. I mean, it's not like the end of the
really
world.
two. It's really 2 lost seasons.
Is it?
Yeah,
At least it's 1.5.
The season before that was basically lost. Also, from a fantasy standpoint, absolutely.
All I know is I first of all, if we're simply looking at ADP, and I think you were on the right track, Steven, but I didn't want you to go there. I wanted you to just tell who you wanted. But Deshaun Watson's currently going as the second quarterback off the board. Again, this is Fantasy Football Calculator. Second quarterback off the board, 412, whereas Andrew Luck is going at the 12th quarterback off the board in round 10. So obviously, I guess you like the value there. I'm pretty sure Deshaun Watson tore his ACL back in college.
Yeah, this is his second tear.
Right, second
Different
tear.
knee, though.
Right. I don't, Kevin. I get what you're saying. I hate the RG3 parallel because I don't think they even play the same. But I get your point. I get your greater point. And I'm really interested to see how both of those guys finish this year, though, because I think that a lot of people will be riding on whether or not they're betting on either of those guys. I think a lot of rosters are going to decide, like, hey, I got my chips pushed in on Andrew Luck, and let's ride. Hey, I've got my chips pushed in on Deshaun because I believe in that 9% touchdown rate or whatever ridiculousness that was that he had, or whatever, whatever the what was the rate? Like touchdown rate was something absurd like that.
I think it was 9%. Yeah, because the average is like usually around 5 point something percent, but I think he was at 9. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be.
Hey, Kevin, I apologize. It was 2015 that he only played 7 games, not 2016. So 2015 was when he played 7 and had another injury-filled year. He got through 15 games in 2016, and then last year was lost.
Yeah, 2016 he was QB4. It was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
All right, very good. That's what I'm going to write down too. I want to watch that over the year. That's going to be fun. The Scott Fish Bowl. I feel like in the last couple of weeks we've kind of closed out with Scott Fish Bowl talk, and I don't want to hold you guys up all night. And I think people will be relieved that we don't have a 2.5 hour podcast tonight as we've done lately, because it's been pretty wild in here in the open bar. But the Scott Fish Bowl's coming up. Everyone's got their divisions. I'm in one of the iconic duo conference, the JD and Turk division. I'm sitting at 103. Pretty sure that I'm getting one of those top running backs. I'm not even looking at quarterback to start. But where'd you guys land division wise, and what is your strategy if you care to share?
I am in Al Bundy. That was my request to be in Al Bundy. I won number 33 my entire life for every sport I ever played. So old number 33 is where I go. And I have the same pick as you. I have the number 3 overall pick, and I'm with you. I'm happy to lock into one of those 4 top running backs. In my opinion, it's 4 top running backs, and then everybody else gets the draft. So I'll be going with whichever guy falls to that spot. In one mock that I did, Aaron Rodgers went number 2. So I was able to get Lev Bell at number 3, and I'll be looking at a quarterback in one of my next 2 picks.
Yeah, I am in the Arrested Development division, Joe Bluth, and I have the 1.04. So I know me and Salad talked about this last week. We're both kind of on the same page. When you have one of those earlier picks in this league, the way that the scoring is set up, if you have an opportunity to get one of those top RB workhorse backs, you have to do it. So being in the top 4, I know I'm going to get either, David Johnson or Ezekiel Elliott would be my guess. But in a mock that I'm doing right now, I had Lev Bell fall to me. What's interesting is when the next wrap comes around in the second and the third round, I don't know if the actual drafts are going to go like this, because it seems like everywhere that quarterbacks are not being taken. But once the actual draft comes around, I remember last year, it seemed like they didn't go anything like the mocks. So in this mock that I'm doing right now, I ended up taking Devontae Freeman with my second round pick, and then Travis Kelce with my 3rd round pick. And with the tight end premiums and how people have valued those, I still think that's going to be a huge position. I don't think that Travis Kelce is going to last the 3rd round. I don't think he's going to be there. And so it's hard. It's kind of hard to do these mocks and get a good feel of what's going on when the actual drafts start, they always go to hell. So yeah, like Sal said, you take your first guy. I know I'm getting a running back, and then you just have to let it come to you after that.
I'm curious, Steve, what'd you end up with quarterback in that mock, or have you got there yet?
I had just taken a quarterback with I believe I took another running back. I could check real quick. I'll get back to you, but I didn't take a quarterback till the 5th round, and I got Jared Goff as my first quarterback. So it's not going to happen like that. I know it. So I can't even look at it.
Oh man, yeah, I don't think so. I'm in the Captain Raymond Holt division of the 2000s conference, and I have pick 101. So
ooh,
I have
102's on the clock. Whoever's behind you.
I have already pre-drafted Todd Gurley. It's gonna happen.
Very good. Kev.
So I am in the George Costanza division of the I think it is the 1980s conference. If I had to guess, I think that's what it was.
Seinfeld went off the air in 99.
Yeah, didn't it start in the 80s? I don't know what there's
late
Cheers.
80s.
There's Cheers in there too, so I think it's the 80s conference. But I always get confused there. Either way, it is the George Costanza conference. I have the 108 pick. I'm not really 100% certain what I'm going to get at 108. It's a tough spot. I wasn't really super thrilled to be there, to be honest with you. But in the first mock I'm doing, Aaron Rodgers actually fell to that spot. So in this particular format, I went with Aaron Rodgers. But if a running back were, one of the top 4 somehow fell, if people draft quarterbacks, I'll probably go that route. I went quarterback, running back in my mock so far through 4 rounds. So it seems to be, I don't hate the team so far. So we'll see. That's kind of where I'm headed. Tight end is a position that I know everyone, I think everyone overdrafts, and I probably will wait on it this year. Maybe I'll get Njoku late. So.
Yo, Kevin, come on over. Welcome to the dark side.
In the last 4 years, 2 guys have been tight end number 1. Rob Gronkowski, Travis Kelce. Are we still saying that Gronk is the mountaintop of tight ends?
Nope, not me.
Sal has been on Kelce since last year.
I mean, I think the last 2 seasons he's been tight end 1. I'm pretty sure, right? I'm gonna look it up. Sorry,
for sure. Last year he was.
Yep.
I think the last 2 years he's been tight end 1.
I'm still a Gronk guy for 1 more year, but I mean they're basically interchangeable for me. If someone wants to take Kelce or T, I'm not gonna argue over it. But I'll still take Gronk.
It's a 2-player tier at 1. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Would you so Kevin, would you consider at the end of the first and second, I mean at the turn there, would you consider going Rodgers in one of those tight ends, or do you have to get a running back at that point?
I think you got to get a running back in my mind, because you're going to start to see the drop off hit, and I don't know that. I mean, maybe you're probably going to be able to get one of those top 2 tight ends, but I don't have to have those guys on my roster, in my opinion. I don't think the tight end bump is enough to justify it. They may be top scorers in the league, but they also could get injured, and that's a risk that I'm not willing to take. So for me, I'm going running back just to try and lock up as many of those running backs as I can.
Let me tell you. So in my mock right now, we are into like the 17th round, or we're later into the draft rather. And I have Greg Olsen, OJ Howard, Eric Ebron, and Tyler Eifert. I found Eifert in like the 15th round. I mean, you're finding guys that Eifert obviously has the injury history. You're finding guys like this. Ebron, listen, say what you want to say about him. Steve's not a fan. He finished really strong last year. He's going over to Indy. He's got a chance to be the lead guy over there. I know Steve's a big Doyle guy. You can get viable tight ends late, according to these mocks. I've done more than one, and I've been loading up on tight ends. It's very different so far this year. And I hate to agree with Steve that it probably will not go this way when the actual drafts happen, but Olsen I got in like the 5th round.
Yeah, I mean, if you're sitting there and looking at Kelce in the 3rd, I mean, I don't know how you don't take him there with the tight end premium, but that might just be me. But I don't think he's going to last. I don't think he's going to end up there.
Where'd you guys finish last year in the SFB?
Let's not talk about it.
I asked because Zach just said he finished 16th overall last year with tight ends Kyle Rudolph, Cameron Brate, and Vernon Davis.
Exactly.
I love Zach, but he's gonna have to shut up right now.
No, that's good. And who are those guys? Those are not guys that were drafted early. You look at this tight end premium, and it makes people, start to value them a little more than maybe they should. Outside of those top two guys, Travis Kelce and those guys were, they were top scorers overall between any position. But Zach was able to get to 16th overall with all guys that he drafted later in the draft. So he was able to load up on the quarterbacks and the running backs, like Kevin was saying. So I know we were all, as far as me and Kevin and Sal, we're not on the tight end premium bandwagon last year. We were not drafting tight ends super early. We did go that other route. I had Andrew Luck on my team. I had some other guys that ended up missing. Cam Meredith, a bunch of dudes that got hurt before the season even started. So I didn't end up very well. But yeah, I think the scoring gets into people's minds and it makes them start drafting crazy.
If we're being honest, I'm disappointed that Scott added back a mandatory start one tight end. I liked it when he had put it out there that it was wide receivers and tight ends grouped together in the flex spot, and you didn't have to start any. That would have been ideal. But
I did my first mock that way too. Like that was still the rules when I did my first mock, and I was loving it. And then when it was like, oh, really?
There's actually a solid chance that you liking it is the reason he changed it, Derek.
Yeah,
probably.
The pilot fund is canceled.
Basically hates everything that I do.
While eating a giant stack of pancakes with maple syrup. Just like, I hate you, Derek. Dirty mother trucker. Yeah. I can see that. I could totally see that. All right, very good, gents. Yeah, we'll give you some time back here. We'll go on and close out. Unless there was something else that was just burning in your chest that you had to get off here at the open bar.
Just the alcohol at this point.
Yeah.
Just stay tuned for my link. We're going to be switching over to the Cast and Couch.
Put the women and children to bed, everyone. You guys can go ahead and start. We'll start closing out here. Derek, plug away. What's going on in your life? What do you got going on? Tell us where we can find you on Twitter, all that good stuff.
Well, you can find me at the FFRX on Twitter, and I've got, in terms of fantasy-wise, we got the Gut Feels podcast. Jason and I recorded an episode earlier tonight, so that'll be out soon, and it was focused on SFB. If Steve or Kevin ever gets it up on their feed, it'll be out soon, I hope. Or maybe I should say Jason, if he gets it edited, it'll get out there. But
no chance that thing gets posted before SFB starts.
Yeah, post that next Wednesday.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, that's it. And then family life, got another kid on the way. Pretty excited. So
nice. Congrats, man.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Great stuff. Very good stuff. Steven, Werther's Original Hard Candies.
The Werther's Originals classics. They are classics. I'm out right now. I ate them all. Got a little crazy last night. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Sid Skeet. Obviously, talking with Sal and Kevin, we do the Falafel House Fantasy Football Podcast. You can check that out on Twitter at Falafel House. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram there. And then family life, I'm in the same boat as Derek. I got another kid on the way, due early October. So yeah, just living my life until then when it's over.
Fun fact about the Falafel House Fantasy Football Podcast. For the first year and a half that Steve was posting the episodes, he was posting them under the Fantasty Football Podcast. So it's Falafel House Fantasty Football Podcast. Yeah.
What's really odd is that our numbers went down when we fixed it.
What is this crap?
Yeah. I never signed up for this.
I am obviously Kevin Cotillo. You can find me at Wally Central. I talk with these guys on a regular basis, except for Derek. I don't like him, but it's we got the Falafel House coming out. I do some work over at Dynasty Trade Calculator. Sometimes I write some things. I also have the Dynasty Wall Street podcast with Riley Bymaster and John Bosch. That comes out on the Dynasty Trade Calculator podcast feed, so check that out. And that's about it for me.
Well, for me, I never want to give credit to Kevin on his writing, but I will recommend the Dynasty Wall Street podcast. It's a very good. They've gained a nice audience very early on. It's a very well done show, and I give most of that credit to Riley. I'm on Twitter at LitoSal, LETOSAL, and just a reminder, guys, the SFB Podathon will be July 9th at 11 a.m. through July 10th at 11 a.m. Wall-to-wall guests, SFB talk, fantasy cares talk, and just regular fantasy talk, 24 hours of guys and girls talking fantasy football. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to raise some money and, see who passes out first.
And just to be clear, we're not putting Steve in charge of really anything, so it'll actually get posted. People will know where to find it, and you'll be able to hear it. So
I just get to attend. I'm so happy. I'm looking forward to this so much.
And it'll be live on YouTube. If I didn't mention, that's going to be the place to watch it. So look for the links on our Twitter accounts. All those Twitter accounts that we just read off, including the Falafel House Twitter account. The links will be posted throughout the day, and you can check in at any time.
That's what's up. The for those that and everybody who listens to us, obviously, I know that they listen to you guys as well. But the whole story of how Falafel came together, I still love it. It just makes my heart happy how all that shook out for you guys, and the fact that you're still doing it. So anyhow, I think this is Sal's second time back through. Thank you for coming back through, everyone. Derek, I think this is your third or fourth. You're a veteran at this point. Got your Letterman's jacket ready. Steven, good to meet you. Kevin, good to be with you again. I know that we came through for the crossover once upon a time, the ultimate mock that we did, 4 rounds of absurdity. That was a good time. But anyhow, you can catch my co-host, my better half, who's currently on vacation doing life, living right. What area code did he say? The what?
406.
The 406.
the area code no one ever dials.
Where the deer and the antelope play, the 406. You can catch my co-host Gabe on Twitter at FFManBun. You can catch me on Twitter at JMic Check. That's at JMIC Check. The show's handle is the Open Bar FP, as in fake pigskin, the folks that put us on. So big shout out to Regan and the crew there. Also a giant shout out to the Dynasty Dummies, who also give me a platform to do randomness, help out with social media stuff, as well as hopefully writing at some point when life slows down just a bit. Just like you guys, I've got 3 youngins, 6, 5, and almost 2. So all girls, and they are just full of
fun,
full of just life right now.
Be honest, you let them run the Dummies Twitter account, don't you? Be honest.
I noticed an improvement. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, so figure out a better word than that. Yeah, just a random emojis. Like, hey, push this one, Dad. This is, and they're like, it's the one that, like, the person's barfing. Like, that's the one that they want to put on there. So shout out to my girls. Love you, girls. And they'll never see this. I don't know why I said that. Anyway, if you're listening to this in podcast form, that means I somehow found a way to upload it. So on Google Play, Stitcher, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, wherever you can find podcasts, we're probably there. So please check us out. And again, giving you some time back this week, because I think we're just a little bit over an hour this go around. So you're welcome. Typically, Gabe would have us do the whole cheers thing. I've got an empty glass of orange juice that I had. Cheers to you, gentlemen. Stella Artois. I see you working. And that is that. So next time you'll see us, ideally it'll be next week with another group of wonderful guests. Again, thank you for the guests, everyone in the actual chat, everyone who's listening to us in podcast form, everyone who check us out on Twitter, whatever it may be. Thank you guys. We appreciate you. Till next time,